On Rockies, the Rockies analytics issues exposed once again.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 16th day of June in the year 2022. I'm Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk. I've been covering the team for about a year now. I've been doing all sorts of stuff in the wonderful world of radio for about 5. I'm here bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk. Proud to be part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and happy to be your first listen of the day. Today on Locked On Rockies, we're talking about more from the Rockies not getting it done when it comes to analytics, when it comes to the Rockies missing out on players, and more examples of players who are going out and dominating, that the really being great after they leave the Colorado Rockies. We're also going to talk about how the Rockies have to snap this home losing streak. It's absolutely unacceptable, and we'll get ready for some day baseball today. Before we do that, got to tell you that today's episode is brought to you by Sports Card Investor. Download the Sports Card Investor app today and easily browse over 630,000 cards from every sport, with hundreds more added each week. Available for free in the Google Play and Apple app stores, or go to sportscardinvestor.com/locked on. In The Athletic, Nick Groke writes, "What do the Dodgers know that the Rockies don't? Yency Almonte offers another test case." He was cut by the Rockies, Yency Almonte, and then he goes on to be really good this year. And what is the thing? He goes in, he gets a call. I believe it was Yency Almonte gets the call from Jake McGee. And what does he do? He goes on to revitalize, and he learns about new stuff when it comes to pitching that he didn't know before, that the Rockies didn't have access to. And that's not the first time we've heard this story. We've heard it over and over and over and over again. The lack of focus, the lack of commitment, the lack of understanding, the lack of embracing analytics by the Colorado Rockies continues to be a downfall, a detriment, and a thing that this organization has to turn around. And it's not getting any better right when we thought it was slowly starting to get better. A lot of the issues with some of these players can be attributed to a lack of complete knowledge and understanding for their position. It's insane. He had a 7.55 ERA last year for the Rockies. He was cut. This year for the Dodgers, 2 earned runs across 15 innings of work and struck out 17 while walking 6. Another former Colorado Rocky calls another former Colorado Rocky. They change, they dive into his slider usage. They dive into his mechanics. They do all this stuff to make him better. Why aren't the Rockies doing this? Why aren't the Rockies better at this? Why aren't the Rockies spending more, investing more, looking more into spin rates, analytics, diving into what works for pitchers? Whatever the research they're doing for pitching, whatever the Rockies' approach to pitching, it's not working. It's not sustainable. They're not having players develop look at what's happened this year with the starting rotation. Look at what's happening with the bullpen. Look what's happening with all these people. Jake McGee goes off. Guess who almost threw a no-hitter yesterday? Guess who has been solid for numerous teams after leaving the Colorado Rockies? Tyler Anderson. Guess who shut the door on the Colorado Rockies for the past 2 nights? looking like a completely different option out of the bullpen than he was for the Rockies. It was Brian Shaw. Brian Shaw. Brian Shaw, who was absolutely abysmal with the Rockies, is now 3-0, 3.38 ERA in 27 games, 21 innings pitched, 18 strikeouts, 1.22 whip. The list. DJ gets access to better stuff. Nolan's talked about having other stuff that the Rockies don't have. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. And yes, I'm exaggerating, but that's how long the list is. Adam Ottavino, a prime example, who's gone on to have a pretty solid career. This is the result of when you allow your front office and your management and everything to be so deeply ingrained into their loyalty, deeply ingrained into what they do, into their way. Well, guess what, Dick? Guess what, Bill? The Avalanche are in the Stanley Cup Finals. The Denver Broncos have made moves to make them one of the most exciting teams in the NFL this year. And the Nuggets have a back-to-back MVP with the chance of getting into the finals in the next. They are in a championship or bust mentality. And what do the Rockies do? The Rockies have traded away franchise players. They have shunned the modern game of baseball and shied away from analytics and not embraced what winning teams do. When a player goes from your team to another team in the division and they are immediately granted, and I still need to read more into the Athletic piece. I will admit right here, I haven't read all of it yet, but it doesn't matter. I don't need to read the Athletic piece when former Rockies are all over the league having massive impacts saying the same thing. The Rockies haven't changed. There was no big change. The Rockies were finally in a situation this offseason where the big change could have happened. Instead, we're seeing the same thing, and we're seeing another classic Rocky season, and we're seeing another classic example of plenty of people, especially pitchers, leaving Coors Field, getting a better mix of pitches, embracing their pitches, getting more from their pitches than they were in Colorado. And that's due to a neglect of analytics. You don't have multiple people leave your newly formed analytics department in less than a year if there aren't incredibly different mindsets and mentalities about the way you approach and embrace that part of the game. The Rockies need to get into the 21st century. The Rockies should be at the forefront of an analytics team. I've said this in the offseason, and I'll say it again. The Rockies need to be a creative team, and they are not a creative team. Whatever analytics, whatever approach they have, whatever their thought process is going into games, it's not working for bullpen pitchers especially. When Brian Shaw and Yency Almonte can bounce back immediately, it highlights and demonstrates an issue within the organization. When players leave and they tell other players to go play where they played because they have better tools, better access, better coaching, better instruction, that is a slight against the Rockies. And it doesn't have to be that way. The Rockies went out and got big name analytics people this offseason, and then they lost them 7 months later. So I bet you they were stonewalled at every single possible road. Dick Mumford getting involved in every last detail, making sure that him and his meat farmer brain are involved in every single aspect of the Rockies, are ruining this team again. This isn't a team that needs to be behind on anything. This is a team that's young. This is a team that's history is in a more modern day of baseball. This is a young, a team that doesn't have the hundreds of years of history. Why they're so behind the times from all these other teams, I do not know. I do not know. What do the Dodgers know that the Rockies don't? Yency Almonte offers another test case. Nick Groke's piece in The Athletic. I highly recommend you go read it. But the answer to that question is, what do the Rockies know that the Rockies don't? How to win. How to invest in your team, both not only players, but behind the scenes. The game of baseball requires you to have people that can understand and look at the numbers and get a different approach. Instead, It seems the Rockies just focus on classic old school. You've been with the Rockies for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You're getting the promotion. The list of Rockies players that have gone on to say things about other teams having more tools to prepare them to be better continues to grow and continues to damn the Colorado Rockies. And it certainly doesn't need to be this way, because the Rockies can afford to invest more on that side of the game. They need to invest more in that game. And them as a team are someone that needs to have an analytics unique approach to factor in all the wacky stuff that happens with playing baseball in Colorado. The Rockies need to figure out what the Dodgers know that they don't know, because the Dodgers are in their division and are going to continue to be the king of that division until the Rockies start doing something different. What was different for the Rockies was they built a team of a bunch of competitive players, great players, mixed with a pitching staff that was having success both on the road and at home. And you blew that up, and you're left with the team that you have now. And the cherry on top of you losing out on all those players is you've still hesitated to embrace analytics. You've still hesitated to go the distance that other teams have to get advantages, to develop their players, and to give them a competitive edge. Now you know every time a team plays the Rockies, arguably the Rockies have been out scouted, they've been out researched, they've been out analyzed, and they've been out prepared from that side of the game. Obviously, it's not the players. The players, they're pro baseball players. They have their routines. They know what they need to do, but they're not being given tools from outside the field, from behind the scenes, from within the organization to make them better. Instead, they leave the Rockies and they go to other teams that make them better. Yency Almonte, Adam Ottavino, Brian Shaw. 3 names for you right there off the top of the dome. Brian Shaw. Brian Shaw was abysmal for the Rockies, and yet here he is shutting the door on them twice now to lead to the Rockies' biggest home losing streak in what I can imagine in a long, long time. And we're going to talk about that next, the home losing streak. But before we do, got to tell you about Sports Card Investor. You know, you have, if you haven't been watching baseball, following baseball, or following sports, you know that sports cards are back, especially baseball cards. There's the hype TikTok videos, the unboxing, all that stuff. Well, why not get in on all the action, all the fun, and have it all instead of a bunch of cards? You can have it all in your app right there on your phone. They have over 630,000 cards in the app, not just Major League Baseball, every sport you can imagine. And guess what? If you're like me, you like the superheroes, they even got the Marvel trading cards as well. The Sports Card Investor app is the hobby's most powerful resource. Quickly check the value of your favorite cards, find great deals, and profit from the hobby you love. Available completely free in the Google Play and Apple App stores, the Sports Card Investor app is a must-have for baseball fans. So again, if you have a bunch of those cards, if you're looking for maybe to see if you can make a quick buck, maybe if you've started collecting and you want to see what the value of your collection is, well, you know what? You got the best place to go, and that is the Sports Card Investor app. Best part, it's completely free, and you can check out the latest values of your favorite cards with 7-day or 30-day charts. Find the best prices and buy directly through the app with the eBay deals feature. There's all sorts of cards waiting for you to find with, and the best part, a little money that you can make there as well. I know you're looking, maybe if you got all those cards in the basement, looking to clear up some room, the Sports Card Investor app is the place for you. Download the Sports Card Investor app today, available for free in the Google Play and Apple app stores, or go to sportscardinvestor.com/lockedon. Kind of fired up about the Rockies today, kind of fired up about things that they shouldn't do, kind of fired up about getting on my soapbox a little bit here, but the Rockies are in trouble. The Rockies continue to be in trouble, and the Rockies are facing an issue in which they desperately need a win today. You cannot lose 6 games at home if you're the Colorado Rockies. You need to make an adjustment. And again, the Rockies, we talked about this. Elias Diaz. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. throwing the ball into left field is not your job. It has certainly seemed like it was his job lately. He's done a real good job of doing it. But this defensive woes, maybe the Rockies need to do the team meeting thing. The Rockies need to do something because this is inexcusable. 6 losses in Coors. You just can't have that. There needs. The Rockies haven't bounced back. The Rockies haven't bounced back all year. The Rockies have maybe fought back into games, but they've never been able to consistently break streaks and get on a positive streak since April. They haven't been able to string together anything, and it's the cherry on top is crappy defense continues to plague the Rockies. I was hesitant about this, but we put too much hype. We bought too far in to Elias Diaz. Elias Diaz started the year last year horribly. He had a good final 4 months of the year, but he has not contributed for this team whatsoever, whether it be on defense or on offense. I know he has a couple of hits. I know he does some of that stuff, but when is this team what is going to be different? When is this team going to rethink the defensive approach? When is this team going to get back down to the basics of playing good, clean defense? And when is this team going to take advantage of being at home? When is this team going to come alive and have the game where they score 8 runs, then they followed up with 6 runs, then they followed up with 5 runs? The Rockies are nothing less than frustrating right now. And this series is incredibly frustrating. I know the Guardians are above 500 team, but you have a rookie on the mound yesterday making his second start. You have the Guardians giving you ample opportunities to get into that ball game with the fact that they played an ugly game. You out-uglied the Guardians in a game in which they played terribly and gave you multiple opportunities. Yes, the Rockies got robbed on an incredible defensive play, but they shouldn't have been in this situation anyway. When you get 2 runs off a errant throw to first, you get the lead, you start taking advantage of that, especially when it's not the only error that's going to happen in this game. But of course, as soon as the Rockies go up, it's a home run. The game is tied, and the Rockies' only runs scored in the first 3 innings of a ball game at Coors Field are scored off of the errors until CJ Cron comes in and gets the RBI. CJ Cron didn't even get the RBI. They scored off of another wild pitch Brendan Rodgers scores. The Rockies didn't even drive in their own runs. They kept getting help on that for their first 3 runs of the game. And then another dropped ball gives them the 4th run. The Rockies didn't even score their own runs. They had to benefit from the Guardians being terrible on defense yesterday. You can't do that. The Rockies are supposed to be a powerhouse at home, and they just aren't. There's no powerhouse anything about the Rockies right now. There's no part of the game that you really look against when they take on, honestly, anybody other than the worst in the league that you think they're going to stack up. It's an underperforming offense. It's a defense that has certainly underperformed. And it's headlined by the fact that the catcher continues to throw the ball in left field. Adjustments. I just want the Rockies to make an adjustment. I want the Rockies to do something different. I want the Rockies to take a different approach. And honestly, I don't know how much you can ask the players to do that. It's the same old song and dance with the Rockies. Again, we talked about it in the first segment. This is a team that feels underprepared going up against some of these teams. Underprepared. Michael Disney says Rockies can't keep running Sam Hilliard in the outfield hitting 161. That's the Sam Hilliard experiment it's got to be on its final legs. There's just the problem is Sam Hilliard is going to keep seeing time as long as Chris Bryant's not in the game. Nicholas Duval says that it seems like they like to play from behind, but that didn't work for this team. They need to pitch for strikes, not pitch to contact. That's the other thing, man. This pitch to contact is not working. Whatever changes they made with the new pitching staff coming in this year, it is not working. It is not working. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the focus shift is, but the Rockies just simply aren't doing anything. They're not changing anything, and they can't. They don't have the depth to do so. This is why stories like Nick Groks are so frustrating. The Rockies continually look at something, think they have a solution, but they still seem to be so far behind, so underprepared, and not even close to on the same page as other teams that have competitive mindset. The Guardians are over 500 and they blew their team up 2 years ago. I couldn't even name anybody on the Guardians. And yet here they are above 500, taking 2 or 3 of the Rockies in Coors Field. The Rockies need to do something. They need to make an adjustment. They need to do something different. You can't keep hearing the quote, they know their stuff. They're going to teach you a lot of things that you probably didn't get in Colorado. Certainly seems like the Rockies aren't bad at looking for talent. They are only bad at developing and keeping that talent. Let's look ahead to today's game. Let's talk a little bit more about the now. We've left those 2 games in the past. 27-36 Rockies taking on the 31-27 Guardians today in a day game. But hey, before we do that, reminder, our listener survey is still going on, and you can get your chance to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards. You can go check out the survey at lockedonpodcast.com/survey. Also, we are brought to you by LinkedIn. As the sun comes out and small businesses are back in business, LinkedIn Jobs makes it easier to grow your team. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the people you want to interview faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job and the purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you are hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competition. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. We're also brought to you today by Built Bar. You know how our friends at Built are always coming out with amazing new flavors? Well, this time Built has truly outdone themselves with their new mud pie flavor. And for the first time ever, Built is introducing the new mud pie flavor in both mud pie bar and mud pie puff. Not sure what mud pie tastes like? Well, if you're a chocolate fan, you better sit down for this. The new mud pie bar is rich whipped cream and chocolate mousse smothered in 100% real chocolate and topped with cookies and cream crumble. I know I've eaten 2 of them. They are delicious. You got to try Built mud pie as soon as possible. You can visit built.com to taste the deliciousness for yourself. Well, here's the macros on that mud pie. Mud pie is packed with 16 grams of protein, only 150 calories, and 8 grams of sugar. It's like your mom baked the most delicious, creamy chocolate mud pie and wrapped it up just for you. What's great about Built is all their bars are made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of health benefits. Eat something that tastes good and is good for you. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Again, promo code LOCK15 for 15% off your order at Built.com. Today's matchup between the Rockies here and the Giants, as in the live chat, Michael Disney says, start a GoFundMe for an entire new pitching staff. Don't need a new pitching staff. We just need a new pitching mentality, a new pitching focus. We have Chad Kuhl taking on, who's McKenzie here for the Guardians? Tristan McKenzie, 3-9 with a 3.09 ERA and 55 strikeouts, taking on Chad Kuhl, 4-3, 3.7 ERA 42 strikeouts. Not a lot of experience for the Rockies against this pitcher for the Guardians. Only Grichuk and Jose Iglesias having a couple of at-bats against McKenzie. Same thing going for the Guardians here. Josh Naylor, Jose Ramirez, and Ahmed Rosario. I guess Jose Ramirez and Ahmed Rosario, the two people I could name from the Guardians, all have at-bats. No hits, though. It's a small sample size, but between these pitchers have not given up a hit to the players they've seen in these lineups. However, they haven't seen many people here at all. But the Rockies here desperately need a win. You got to win something. Got to start generating some momentum because you got the division rivals, Padres, coming into town here. You got to score some runs. You got to get out there and start really hitting the ball, especially at home. I mean, it's something, the Rockies, 5 runs yesterday, 3 runs in the game before, but they're not generating good, solid offense. They're not really doing much. Like I said, we talked about it in the segment before where the Rockies aren't scoring runs. They're not generating runs, really. They were the benefit of a bunch of errors in the last game. So what I want to see today from the Colorado Rockies is more offense. But folks, that is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Make sure that you are staying up to date with all things Locked On with your Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and of course your Locked On Rockies podcast. I'm Paul Holden. You can find me at Paul Holden 33. We stream all of our episodes live, usually not all of our episodes, most of them live on our YouTube channel. You can also find us at LO Rockies. Nicholas, you got it right. Let's hope Cool can keep us cool and win this one. Let's hope for a Rockies win as they can snap this terrible, terrible home losing streak that is simply inexcusable. Folks, also, you can go check out the Locked On MLB, or not Locked On MLB, the Locked On NBA draft, mock draft that's going on tomorrow with first pick going on then. Folks, until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies